Hey guys, it's Jedi Lex, and today is day 2 of Star Wars Celebration Japan. I had a Lightspeed Lane reservation for Friday at 4:30, but unfortunately, the Celebration store ended up closing early around 1:30 after selling out completely. So when day 2 rolled around, I decided to head straight to the store first thing in the morning, hoping that they'd let me use my Lightspeed Lane reservation from the day before. Thankfully, the staff was super accommodating and let me in without any issues. And it was a good thing because the line just to get into the show store was wild. We're talking hour-long waits. There was one massive line outside of the building and another long line inside once you got through the doors. It was intense to say the least, so I'm incredibly grateful that I didn't have to wait in that long line of people. The store was packed with some amazing Celebration exclusive merchandise. They had a whole lineup of items featuring the Celebration logo, including t-shirts, a baseball jersey, a cherry blossom button-down, cozy long sleeves, a fleece jacket, pins, patches, magnets, and some cool ball caps. There was also a ton of merchandise showcasing the gorgeous Celebration key art. Everything from shirts and jackets to a button-up, crew neck, and a windbreaker. They even had collectibles like magnets, posters, pins, a tote bag, a lanyard, a beautiful teacup set, and an elegant sake set. Some of the most in-demand items feature the Celebration badge art. I saw shirts, posters, fine art prints, pins, Japanese lanterns, artboards, and decorative fans. Really striking designs that stood out. On top of that, there were plenty of other Celebration exclusives, including the Jar Jar Binks Diamond Glitter Funko Pop, a Bear Walker skateboard deck, plushies, bento boxes, bucket hats, and collectible character coins. They were also doing on-site custom shirt printing with select designs in limited colors. Hot Toys had a display case that was set up in the store showcasing all of their Celebration exclusives that were available at their booth. Gashapon had a massive setup with tons of vending machines, all filled with various capsules. Each capsule was filled with a different Star Wars character that you could try to collect. It was awesome. While some of the merch had already sold out for the day, there was still a lot to choose from. I ended up picking up a lanyard, a couple of coins, the Ahsoka badge art pin, the key art pin, and a few of the Celebration logo pins. Some items, like the pins and select lanyards, were kept behind the counter, but checkout was quick and smooth since they had a ton of registers open and ready to go. After leaving the show store, I went back to my hotel to drop off my purchases and then headed back to the convention center. On my way back in, I got to see a ton of cosplayers outside of the convention center and in the main lobby, which was really cool to see. I got to see the Bad Batch boys, including Tech, Crosshair, Hunter, and Wrecker, the Rebels crew, including Hera, Ezra, Kanan, and Zeb, a Wookiee, and a few other cosplayers. The creativity and craftsmanship were on another level, and it was seriously so impressive to see in person. One of the standout centerpieces of the show floor was the anime and manga pavilion. The exterior design gave off a serene, traditional vibe that really reminded me a lot of some of the beautiful Japanese temples that I had visited earlier in the week. Right at the heart of the pavilion was a real cherry blossom tree, which added a peaceful and authentic touch that immediately drew you in. Inside, the space was filled with incredible displays, everything from Japanese ceramics and bonsai trees to replica props, concept art, and detailed maquettes. One of the most striking installations was a collection of hand-painted porcelain plates, each featuring colorful characters from Volume 1 of Star Wars Visions. It was a beautiful blend of Star Wars storytelling and traditional Japanese artistry. There were also filming models used in the production of Star Wars Visions, including stop-motion models from both Volume 1 and Volume 2. From the whimsical ships and characters in I Am Your Mother, to the powerful and emotionally rich sculptures from In the Stars and Ao's Song, each piece felt like a window into the creators' imaginations. The pavilion wasn't just for display, it was also a hub of activity. Every day they hosted 3 live drawing sessions or autograph signings featuring creators from the Visions projects, including concept artists, illustrators, directors, character designers, and writers. It brought the artistry behind Visions to life in an interactive and inspiring way. Next, I made my way over to the LEGO booth, and wow, it was packed. The energy around the booth was incredible. They had exclusive early access to several of the brand new sets that were releasing on May 4th, which drew in the crowds. But by day 2, more than half of those sets were already sold out, so if you weren't there early, you most likely missed out on a few of the big ones. One of the coolest features at the booth was a massive LEGO mosaic that was built entirely by the fans. Each visitor had the chance to contribute by selecting a square to build, and once it was complete, the staff carefully placed it onto the larger mosaic. It was such a fun, collaborative experience. There was also a second mosaic displayed focused solely on Star Wars ships, and every single one of those ships was built by fans right there at the booth. The booth also featured 2 jaw-dropping, life-size LEGO sculptures. A towering K2SO standing next to his brand new set that will be officially dropping on August 1st, and a full-size speeder bike that looked like it came straight out of Return of the Jedi. Both were huge hits with the fans and perfect for photo ops. They also had a wide variety of sets on display, including a mix of previous releases and the new May 4th drops, like the brick-built Star Wars logo, Chopper, Jango Fett's helmet, Kylo Ren's helmet, the Rebel U-Wing starfighter, and Kylo Ren's command shuttle. It was the perfect place to get an up-close look at what's coming, and maybe even add a few more items to your LEGO wish list. I then decided to grab some lunch at the food hall. I got the Jar Jar Main and the Obi-Wan Ice Milk Tea. Both were honestly way better than I was expecting, and surprisingly very filling. After lunch, I made my way over to the Galaxy stage to line up for the Ahsoka panel, for which I had a reservation. The panel kicked off at 1 p.m., and let me tell you, it was worth the wait. They started things off by showing some never-before-seen, behind-the-scenes photos from the filming of The Mandalorian and Ahsoka Season 1, which was such a treat for the fans. Then the panel started dropping the big reveals. Dave Filoni made a major announcement. Admiral Ackbar will be appearing in Ahsoka Season 2 and not just as a cameo. He will be going head-to-head with Grand Admiral Thrawn. But the surprises didn't stop there. Hayden Christensen himself confirmed that he will be returning as Anakin Skywalker in Season 2. The cheers from that moment were unreal. It's always special to see him return to the role, and you could feel the emotion in the room. Then came the most emotional moment of the panel. Dave Filoni gave a heartfelt tribute to the late Ray Stevenson, who portrayed Baylan Skoll in Season 1. He then announced that Rory McCain, best known as the Hound from Game of Thrones, has been cast to carry the torch and continue Baylan's story in Season 2. It was a moving moment that struck a perfect balance between honoring Ray's legacy and looking ahead with respect and care. After the Ahsoka panel, I headed over to get in line for my Hayden Christensen autograph, something that I had been looking forward to. But unfortunately, I was extremely disappointed to find out that they had stopped redeeming QR codes for the rest of the day. I was told to try again the next morning, so I held on to some hope. However, later that evening, I received an email from ShowClicks explaining that due to changes in Hayden's schedule, they would no longer be redeeming any more autograph tickets for the remainder of the event. Those of us who hadn't yet redeemed our QR codes would be automatically refunded. It was honestly a pretty tough blow after such an exciting day, but I appreciated the communication and the effort to make things right. After that, I stopped by the Hot Toys booth and it completely blew me away. Their setup was insane, showcasing a stunning lineup of their 1/6 scale collectible figures. One of the highlights was an entire display case filled with newly revealed figures making their first appearances. Among them were Cassian Andor, K2SO, a Jetpack Trooper, Poe Dameron, Jar Jar Binks, a Range Trooper, Emperor Palpatine, Anakin Skywalker from Naboo, and all 4 of the Republic Commandos, Fixer, Sev, Boss, and Scorch. It was an impressive spread. They also had a prototype version of the Darth Vader figure from Hano Studios, inspired by Rebels, and seeing it in person was seriously amazing. Alongside that were figures from the Ahsoka series, including a breathtaking prototype of Ahsoka Tano herself, complete with an incredibly unique base that set it apart from the rest. Some of the other standout pieces included Darth Revan, a prototype of Darth Malgus, Lord Starkiller, and Clone Wars versions of Anakin Skywalker, Ahsoka Tano, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, all incredibly detailed and rich in character likeness. One of the absolute showstoppers was a life-size Darth Vader bust, along with a prototype of a battle-damaged Vader. I had been debating whether or not to pre-order that one, and the second I saw it in person, that decision was made. I ordered it on the spot. They also had an N1 Starfighter 6-scale figure accessory, plus a prototype of the Mandalorian on top of a towering AT-RT. It was some next-level stuff. One of the standout features of this booth was the massive Cosby bobblehead display. The full collection spanned characters from across every era of Star Wars, from the original trilogy to the prequels and sequels. Seeing them all displayed together in such a lively, colorful arrangement made it impossible not to smile. Among the most impressive highlights were 2 larger-than-life centerpieces, a towering Darth Maul in his Sith Infiltrator, and an equally striking Darth Vader in his TIE Interceptor. These oversized figures shined a spotlight on just how fun and expressive the Cosby bobblehead line can be. They had the entire Bad Batch squad on display, including Hunter, Crosshair, Tech, Wrecker, and Echo. The lineup also featured some incredible troopers from the 501st Legion and some vehicles, including Commander Oppo riding a BARC speeder, a heavy weapons clone trooper riding a BARC speeder with a sidecar, and an ARF trooper on a 501st Legion AT-RT. If you're a fan of Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, this lineup was seriously impressive. They had Mace Windu, Jango Fett, Padme Amidala, Count Dooku, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and both light side and dark side versions of Anakin Skywalker. Clone Wars fans weren't left out either, with Fives, Captain Rex, and Commander Cody all making an appearance. To top it off, there were awesome prototype versions of Kit Fisto, Plo Koon, and even General Grievous. It was a fantastic tribute to the prequels era and a real treat for prequels fans. They had a massive TIE Fighter and TIE Interceptor at their booth, which tied everything together. The SH Figuarts booth was another highlight, smaller but packed with tons of detail. They had 2 main display cases, each showcasing 3 iconic scenes. One case was dedicated to the original trilogy, and the other case was dedicated to the prequel trilogy. The setups were beautifully done, almost like miniature dioramas capturing key moments with amazing detail in the posing of their figures. Adjacent to the scenes, they had a vast selection of figures on display, covering characters from across the entire saga. From Jedi and Sith to troopers and droids, the variety was impressive. Whether you're into dynamic action poses or more subtle character moments, there was a lot to admire for collectors and casual fans alike. Next, I stopped by the Stance booth, and fun fact, I wore Stance Star Wars socks under my scrubs at work. Even though they are rarely seen by others, it's my little way of bringing Star Wars into my day-to-day life, even when I'm working at the hospital. The booth had some awesome exclusives for Celebration Japan, including a special edition box set that was a collaboration between several different artists. I seriously considered picking it up, but honestly, I knew I'd never want to wear them. They were so unique and limited that I'd probably just want to display them instead. They also had a really cool Saber Crew socks box set, which included 3 different pairs featuring 3D graphics that popped right off the fabric. In addition to socks, they had 2 exclusive t-shirts, one called Japan Jedi and another called Tokyo Rebels, both created by the same artist who worked on the Celebration socks box set. The designs were clean, stylish, and subtle with Star Wars flair front and center. In the end, I grabbed 3 pairs of socks, which pushed me over the minimum purchase requirement to get the exclusive Stance booth pin featuring none other than Lando Calrissian. Totally worth it. I then made my way over to the massive Hasbro booth to see what they had on display. And wow, it was impressive. Right away, I was drawn into their stunning showcase of Black Series helmets. A full wall of beautifully crafted helmets that looked even better in person. These weren't just collectibles. They felt like real pieces from the Star Wars universe. Whether it was a classic Stormtrooper helmet, a Mandalorian helmet, or even a helmet from a newer show, the attention to detail was seriously next level. It was like standing in front of an armory filled with all of your favorite characters' helmets from a galaxy far, far away. They were also hosting lightsaber training sessions, which added such a fun and interactive vibe to the booth. You could see fans of all ages getting into it, learning basic lightsaber moves while smiling and laughing as they dueled it out and figured it out together in front of the crowd. It was the kind of immersive touch that made the booth feel alive, not just like a display, but rather an experience. Nearby, they had a huge Force FX Elite lightsaber display, showcasing an impressive variety of sabers from across the saga. From the elegant darksaber to the iconic blades of Luke Skywalker, Ahsoka Tano, and Darth Vader, this section was an absolute must-see for saber collectors and fans alike. Hasbro had set up 3 DTOF display cases packed with their latest announcements that were made at Celebration. Let's go through and talk about them. They had the new Black Series, the Ronin and R5D56, which looked fantastic in person. Such unique additions, but left many people very confused when an almost identical version appeared on Amazon, sparking a lot of controversy. Right under them was a sleek Black Series Imperial Death Trooper helmet that had a serious presence. From A New Hope, they showcased a Black Series Han Solo and Chewbacca. Then from Jedi Survivor, there was a Cal Kestis, as well as Turgle and Scuba Steve, which was a fun little surprise. There was also a Black Series Night Sister Marin, as well as a Dash Rendar from Shadows of the Empire. From A New Hope, they showcased a Black Series Han Solo and Chewbacca. Then from Jedi Survivor, there was Cal Kestis with Turgle and Scuba Steve, which was a fun little surprise. There was also a Black Series Night Sister Marin, as well as a Dash Rendar from Shadows of the Empire. The Vintage Collection had a strong showing too, with a Bantha and Tusken Raider 2-pack, a Rocket Launcher Trooper from Jedi Survivor, and another Night Sister Marin. They also had Crosshair from the Bad Batch, Cobb Vanth from the Book of Boba Fett, and Moff Gideon from The Mandalorian. And then there was an incredible section showcasing all of Hasbro's past HasLab projects. Seeing the Cantina, the Ghost, the Razor Crest, and the Sail Barge all together in one place was breathtaking. Seeing the scale, the craftsmanship, and the little details up close really drove home just how special these releases were for fans who back them. They also had a few newer releases on display that caught my eye, like the Journey of Anakin Skywalker 3-pack, as well as the Heir to the Empire 3-pack. And just when I thought I'd seen everything, there was more. The Revenge of the Sith Black Series figures, which looked incredible by the way, and the Last Command set featuring Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade. One of the coolest features of the booth had to be this photo op spot featuring the Ronin and R5-D56. It was a full, stylized setup that let you pose alongside the figures in a themed backdrop, making for a fun and memorable picture. The Hasbro booth truly had it all. Figures, helmets, lightsabers, exclusives, playsets, photo ops, and so much more. Whether you're into the original trilogy, the prequels, the sequels, or the expanded universe, there was something at this booth to get excited about. It was a collector's dream come true, and easily one of the best booths I got to visit at Celebration. After that, I headed over to the Yadro booth, which showcased some of the most elegant and artistic Star Wars pieces I've ever seen. One of the standouts was a limited edition Darth Vader with cherry blossoms, and it was breathtaking in person. Limited to just 88 pieces, it featured a striking red circle representing the rising sun, with a silhouette of Mount Fuji in the background, and 80 hand-placed cherry blossoms surrounding Vader. It was such a beautiful fusion of Japanese artistry and Star Wars iconography. They also had a limited edition Ahsoka Tano statue capped at 1,000 pieces, and a small but incredibly detailed Grogu figure. I saw 2 unique stormtroopers, each with their distinct poses and finishes, and a stunning Queen Amidala that was limited to 1,000 pieces. Seriously, one of the most beautiful statues I've ever seen, with such intricate detailing in the gown and headpiece. The collection also featured Ray Skywalker, a newly released Han Solo, and a graceful Princess Leia. One piece that caught my eye was the Bespin Battle diorama, featuring Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. Limited to just 504 pieces, it perfectly captured the drama of that iconic moment. And of course, they had an elegant R2-D2 sculpture rounding out the display. As I made my way past the live stage, I couldn't help but stop for a moment. Right there on display were some massive life-size builds. A Bantha, a Dewback, a TIE Fighter, and an X-Wing. Seeing them all together like that was surreal, and it added to the larger-than-life feeling of the convention floor. After that, I wandered over to the Topps booth. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know a whole lot about Topps trading cards, but I'm slowly learning thanks to some of my friends like Tony, Ricky, Victoria, Matthew, and Steven, who are super passionate about it and have been showing me the ropes. They were selling these beautifully designed Mayo boxes, which focused on different Star Wars factions like the Rebel Alliance and Galactic Empire. Each box incorporated Japanese-inspired artwork and design elements, which made them feel super unique, especially for Celebration Japan. Even as someone new to the card collecting world, I could appreciate how special these sets were. Next, I stopped by the Blitzway booth, which I'll admit I had never heard of before Star Wars Celebration, but I'm really glad that I checked them out because their displays were seriously impressive. They had a lineup of quarter-scale, superb scale statues featuring characters like Ben Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Each statue was incredibly detailed, with lifelike sculpts and textures that captured the essence of each character. What stood out the most was the LED illuminated bases, which added a dramatic glow and elevated the whole presentation, especially in person. It was one of those booths that completely caught me off guard, but in the best way. I also checked out the MetaQuest booth, which was offering hands-on demo experiences for 3 of their upcoming Star Wars VR games. Fans had the chance to step into immersive previews of Vader Immortal, Beyond Victory, and Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. The lines were pretty steady throughout the day, but it was easy to see why. It was a pretty great way to see how Star Wars continues to push into new tech and experiences. While exploring the convention floor, I had to stop by the EFX Collectibles booth, and wow, they did not disappoint. One of the highlights for me was seeing the Darth Vader helmet precision-crafted replica Black Chrome Edition up close. The finish on it was absolutely stunning, sleek, reflective, and menacing in the best way. They also had an incredible lineup of lightsaber hilts on display, including Obi-Wan Kenobi's classic hilt, Kylo Ren's crossguard saber with all the gritty detail you'd expect, Luke Skywalker's iconic Return of the Jedi hilt, and even Darkseid Rey's double-bladed lightsaber hilts, which were just as unique and eerie in person as they were in the movies. One of the showstoppers for me had to be the Ahsoka Tano lightsaber hilt set. The craftsmanship on those pieces were unreal, sleek and super elegant. There was more than just lightsabers too. They had a beautifully detailed AT-ST, a slick snowspeeder, and precision-crafted helmets of both Din Djarin and the Armorer. The attention to detail on both helmets was just next level. EFX brought some of their top-tier replicas to Celebration, and if you're a collector or just love admiring incredible craftsmanship, their booth was a must-see. To wrap up day 2, I headed back over to the LEGO booth, and luckily the lines had died down. I picked up the Revenge of the Sith Heroes and Villains brickhead set and the Luke Skywalker Rebel Pilot brickheads, which together scored me the Celebration exclusive LEGO tile. As I was leaving, I caught part of a panel with Cesar Suarez, Peter Carmichael, and Jackson Hughes, who were all LEGO Star Wars designers. They were showcasing new sets, including Jango Fett's Fire Spray class starship. I ended day 2 by meeting up with Tony, Ricky, Chris, and Jose in the hotel lobby. We made a long trek over to one of the nearby malls to meet up with a few others, where they spent some time ripping Topps boxes and packs, checking out everyone's polls, and grabbing dinner together. It was such a fun mix of Star Wars and community, just enjoying the hobby with friends who are into the same things that you are. When we got back to the hotel, a group of fellow creators had met up in the lobby for some late-night drinks, laughs, and great conversation. It was so cool finally getting to hang out with everyone in person. So many of these people I've connected with online, now all in the same space together, sharing stories and celebrating what we love. It honestly felt like the perfect way to end day 2 of Star Wars Celebration Japan, surrounded by friends, old and new, and the shared excitement that makes this community so special. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, as well as subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, or even click to watch one of my other videos, and may the Force be with you.